1948. A new state emerges in the Middle East. The map of the region was once again thrown into turmoil. This newly founded Jewish state was met with great anger and resistance across the Arab world. But there was one exception in the region. Iran, ruled by the Pahlavis. How could a Shia Muslim country open its doors to Israel? The answer lay in the two leaders of the time and their political interests. Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, the Shah of Iran, was a pro-Western, secular-minded and nationalist leader. For him, regional interests came before ideological loyalties. At a time when Arab nationalism was on the rise under Nasser's leadership, was forming an anti-imperialist front, Iran positioned itself as a Persian power. Likewise, Israel found itself targeted by the same Arab front. It was at this point that a covert partnership of mutual interest began to form between the two countries. This secret alliance rested on three main pillars. Oil. Iran was one of the primary energy sources meeting Israel's needs under embargo. Israel established the Trans-Israel pipeline to transport oil from Iran to Europe. Intelligence. In the 1960s, there was close cooperation between Mossad and Iran's intelligence agency. Iran received intelligence support from Israel and also learned methods for suppressing internal opposition. Military technology. Israel supplied Iran with various military equipment. Iran did not officially recognize Israel. Diplomatic relations were conducted through third countries and trade offices. While Israeli diplomats quietly operated in Tehran, Iranian officials maintained diplomatic contact through a commercial office in Tel Aviv. At the foundation of this covert alliance was the United States. Both Iran and Israel were two of Washington's key allies in the Middle East. American foreign policy relied on the Iran-Israel-Turkey triangle to contain the southern flank of the Soviet Union. Though ideologically different, these three countries were united under a security umbrella shaped by Washington. Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi of Iran, with his pro-Western policies and anti-communist stance, was the strongest supporter of the US in the region. Turkey, as a NATO member, secured the western flank from the Black Sea to the Middle East. Israel acted as the forward outpost in the eastern Mediterranean against Arab socialism and Soviet influence. This tripartite alignment became known among American strategists as the Iran-Israel-Turkey triangle. The rapprochement between Iran and Israel was not just based on trade or energy exchange, it evolved into a deeper security architecture.
For Khomeini, the flight from Paris to Tehran marked the end of 15
In
years
1979, the Islamic Revolution in Iran transformed not only the country's internal structure, but also its foreign policy. The long-standing ties with the West were abruptly severed. The Shah was overthrown and replaced by a theocratic regime under Ayatollah Khomeini. This new government openly declared Israel to be an illegal and illegitimate occupying state. All covert relations with Israel were terminated. The Israeli embassy in Tehran was closed and the building was handed over to the Palestine Liberation Organization. As a symbolic move, the Israeli flag was replaced with the Palestinian one. The Palestinian issue became more than a foreign policy matter. It was now a religious and ideological duty for the new regime. And this transformation was not limited to rhetoric. Iran began to provide material and logistical support to anti-Israel groups. Particularly by supporting Shia militia networks in Lebanon, Iran laid the groundwork for the formation of Hezbollah in later years. The conflict between Iran and Israel thus shifted into an indirect confrontation, fought across different geographies and through proxy actors. Iran and Israel now found themselves on opposite ends of the regional crisis spectrum. Iran adopted a new strategy in foreign policy. Instead of directly waging war against Israel, it sought to apply pressure through regional proxy groups. In 1982, Israel invaded Lebanon to eliminate security threats from the north. But for Iran, this presented a major opportunity. The Revolutionary Guard sent military advisors to Lebanon. Shia groups were armed, trained, and quickly transformed into an organized entity: Hezbollah. Over time, Hezbollah would become Iran's ideological and strategic extension in the region. It played a role in many attacks against Israel, from hostage operations to bombings. Iran was believed to have supported many of these actions. The 2006 Israel-Hezbollah war marked the transformation of this tension into open conflict. During this period, Israel actively bombed targets in Lebanon to curb Hezbollah's growth and limit Iran's influence. Restricting Iran's military infrastructure beyond its borders became a top priority for Tel Aviv. Around the same time, Syria entered the equation. The Assad regime developed close ties with Iran and became the logistical and political corridor for anti-Israel fronts. Iran's influence stretched to the shores of the Mediterranean. This expansion forced Israel to drastically revise its security doctrine. Conflict had now become an invisible war playing out on the ground. Both sides avoided direct clashes, but simultaneously tried to encircle one another. And this confrontation would not remain limited to Lebanon. In 2002, Iran's secret nuclear facilities were revealed to the world. Its uranium enrichment activities and underground labs alarmed Western intelligence agencies. Israel viewed this as a matter of national security. According to Tel Aviv, Iran's pursuit of nuclear weapons posed an existential threat. Israel launched covert operations targeting Iran's nuclear infrastructure. One of the most notable was the Stuxnet cyber attack, which sabotaged centrifuges at Natanz and significantly delayed Iran's nuclear program. Around the same time, several Iranian nuclear scientists were assassinated via car bombs, motorcycle attacks, and night raids. Iran openly blamed Israel for these incidents. Israel neither confirmed nor denied the allegations. Iran also sought retaliation. Attempts were made to strike Israeli-related targets, embassies, and carry out intelligence countermeasures. The Syrian civil war, which erupted in 2011, transformed the covert struggle into a more visible, direct confrontation. Iran became one of the Assad regime's staunchest supporters. Units of the Revolutionary Guards, Hezbollah fighters, and Iran-backed Shia militias deployed across Syria. Officially, the mission was to protect the regime. According to Tel Aviv, Iran was inching closer to Israel's borders via Syria and forming a new front alongside Hezbollah in Lebanon. Thus began the era of airstrikes. Israel launched hundreds of aerial operations against Iranian targets in Syria: arms depots, command centers, militia bases. The message to Iran was clear: do not cross the line. Iran, for the most part, avoided direct retaliation. However, its proxies, especially Hezbollah, occasionally responded with counterattacks. During this time, Israel sought to gradually curtail Iran's presence in Syria. The tension had grown into a broader geopolitical equation involving Russia, the United States, and regional states. By the 2020s, the struggle between Iran and Israel had become more complex and dangerous. But during these years, one major shift occurred. The conflict grew increasingly direct. In 2021, clashes in Gaza began with groups close to Iran firing rockets at Israel. Israel responded with air raids. By late 2023, tensions had reached a new threshold. Hamas's October 7th attack triggered a harsh Israeli response in Gaza. While Iran did not directly join the assault, it mobilized its regional allies. Hezbollah, Yemen's Houthis, and Iraqi militias stepped in. Israel no longer viewed these groups as mere proxies, but as direct extensions of Iran. In April 2024, the two sides faced off directly for the first time. Missiles and drones were launched from Iranian territory toward Israel. Israel responded with its air defense systems. The following day, Israel launched retaliatory strikes on targets inside Iran, marking the first direct military confrontation between the two countries. And now, June 2025. Recent developments have brought the long-standing shadow war between Iran and Israel dangerously close to an open front. On the morning of June 13th, Israel launched a large-scale air operation named Operation Rising Lion. The targets included Iran's nuclear infrastructure and Revolutionary Guard facilities. Uranium enrichment centers in Natanz, Fordow, and Isfahan were hit. Israeli fighter jets struck multiple locations simultaneously, while some Mossad units conducted covert ground operations near Tehran. Iranian Chief of Staff Mohammad Bagheri, IRGC Commander Hossein Salami, and several senior officials were reportedly killed in the strikes. Iran responded swiftly and forcefully to the attack. In the evening hours, it launched a retaliatory operation dubbed True Promise III. Over 150 ballistic missiles and more than 100 armed drones were fired from Iranian territory, targeting Israeli cities including Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and Haifa. Israel's air defense systems managed to intercept most of them. The attack still caused casualties and significant infrastructure damage. Reports indicate fatalities and injuries inside Israel. International reactions were swift. The United States provided defensive support to Israel, but refrained from direct intervention. The United Nations and the European Union immediately called for a ceasefire. On the same day, Gulf airspace was temporarily closed. The events of June 2025 mark a new threshold in the Iran-Israel conflict. After decades of indirect confrontation through proxy actors, the conflict has now escalated into direct state-to-state attacks. Although no formal declaration of war has been made, the situation on the ground increasingly resembles open warfare. The world is facing urgent questions. Is this escalation a turning point or the warning sign of a catastrophe whose end is impossible to foresee? Is an all-out war between Iran and Israel truly on the horizon? Time will tell.